All right, shalom, shalom. First one, give all praises, and honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the Most High God. Yahweh Shai is the Son of God, the true names of the Heavenly Father and His Son. Right, in this lesson, going to be a quick lesson, to put things into perspective, which we have to understand that in these last days, those of us that's keeping the faith, we're going to be hated by all men, by all nations, if you will. We're going to be hated by the multitudes of the world, if you will. Right? We going to have those that's going to try to make an evil report about us. We're going to be dishonorable, if you will, amongst the nations. We're going to be the outcasts, if you will. Which ultimately, us being, ultimately, that's going to lead to, a lot of our brothers and fellow servants, persecution, which is prophesied that some men and women probably will be persecuted, right, in these last days, especially in Babylon the Great, right? And I got a couple of precepts lined up, and Lord willing, this video is edifying. But to start off with this lesson, this is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 8. It says, by honor and dishonor. And yeah, that's this, the Apostle Paul's epistles onto the Church of Corinth, if you will. And so, like, I got something in my mouth, but, which will, ultimately, mess up my speaking, but forgive me. But, going into it, we're going to be honored and we're going to be dishonored, if you will. We're going to be seen as dishonorable amongst the nations. It says by evil report and good report. There's going to be those in the world there's going to be those in the world that's going to have an evil report about us, who going to somewhat stain our name, stain our reputation, right? Stain our our honor, if you will. Right? When you go into the apostles, when you go into the apostles, you'll have people what? It's trying to you'll have people throwing dirt, or even the elders, if you will. The elder apostles at Great Millstone. Or you will have people throwing dirt on their reputation. You will have people throwing dirt on their name. And that's, a bad thing to have, dirt being thrown on your name, metaphorically, if you will. You have people saying that the elder apostles, is, saying a whole lot of things, man. But the elder apostles, they are true, if you will. They sincere. And that's an example. Just look at the elder apostles. A lot of people hate them. A lot of people amongst the Israelite community hate the elder apostles at Great Millstone. A lot of people in the Israelite community hate GMS, if you will. It says, but going into it, this 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 8, it says, by evil report and good report, as deceivers and yet true. And people won't say we're deceivers, man. Just like how the Pharisees thought that the Lord was just like how the Pharisees thought, man. Right? They thought, this thing is deceitful, but it's not. It's the truth. But going into it says, as deceivers and yet true. And Yahushua was true. The apostles were true. The men at GMS are true, if you will. Right? They're sincere. Sound. They have, I believe the men at Great Millstone have sound doctrine. Right, so Yahushua is true, man. It says, as unknown, verse 9, it says, as unknown, and yet well known. As dying, and behold, we live. As chastened, and not killed. So, even today, we are unknown, but we are well known, if you will, if you understand it. Right, we're known, but yet regarded as unknown, like it says in NIV. You have people, that's why we are made as a spectacle. Right, we have many spectators, if you will, many people seeing, gazing upon us, if you will, whether they want to acknowledge us or not. They still gonna have us in the back of their mind, right? Why you have these celebrities, especially these rich, famous people in the world, in high places, they know about us, man. They know about the Israelites, if you will. Now, they may not want to acknowledge it, but they gonna know it, man, and they do. Right? I got a couple of precepts prepared. Alright, bear with me. So like, this is not my phone. I'm on somebody else's phone, but I'm going into it. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 21. That make a man an offender. Let me read again. It says Isaiah chapter 29, verse 21. That make a man an offender for a word. So, and even today, we're speaking against the beast. The men of the Lord, the prophets, the watchmen. We are, speaking against the beast system. We are speaking against the beast. We're speaking against Esau. We're speaking against the New World Order. We're speaking against these unrighteous decrees that Esau are ultimately mandating, if you will, and will mandate. We're speaking against Esau, Edom, enterprise, his plots, and us doing that, we are seen as, or they try to portray us as the bad guy in the world, as the enemy. Right? It says that make a man an offender for word. And all we doing is speaking that which is right, man. All we doing is speaking that which is right, man. And y'all portray us as a bad guy. There's a comment that this man Biden made, recently, loosely paraphrasing probably. I'm not sure if this word for word what he said, but he says, a pandemic, or the pandemic of the unvaccinated. And you already see that those words that he spoke, I don't know if it was word for word, but those words that Joe Biden spoke was ultimately an arrow targeted against the unvaccinated, targeted against those conspiracy theorists, targeted even towards us, if you will, if you could read through the lines, if you will. And there's going to come a time when we're going to be seen as the enemy, which we are sincere, which we ain't do nothing wrong. We're doing what we commanded to do, if you will. It says, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. See, when you go into the word reprove, it goes into if I'm not mistaken, let's get it real quick. Let's look it up. To disapprove, right? To reject, right? Because ultimately, we rebuke this man. We rebuke Esau, Edom. We rebuke everything about the society, if you will. Everything about the New World Order. We rebuke this unrighteous decrees. We reject this man beast system. Esau, Edom beast system. That's why I mean this man beast system. Esau, Edom beast system. We reject Esau, Edom beast system, man. If you will. Right? Right, it says, and we openly show our disapproval of the unrighteousness that's being done. We're openly, when I say, we're openly showing our disapproval of these unrighteous things that's being done in this society, even of the unrighteous decrees. It says, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. We're just showing our sincere disapproval, which is ultimately right, right, man. Which is ultimately morally right, man. When we do it, when we disapprove of something righteously, if you will. It says, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Let's get Isaiah chapter 19, verse 16. It says, and in that day shall Egypt be like unto woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now, man. Yeah, colored people, if you will, what they would say today. When you got black people, Judites waking up, being arisen or being awakened, and doing something that's never been seen before, doing something that's powerful, if you will. You got the Americans, they seen Israelites, these black, Hispanic, Native Indians being awoken, being they see these black, Hispanic, Native Indians receiving knowledge, receiving understanding, man. Right? And this, it terrifies America seeing this. Like I said, we are made a spectacle. So they're ultimately, whether you want to believe it or not, America, they're spectators, if you will, man. They seeing what's happening. And there's going to come a time when we're going to be hated, if you will. They're going to hate us. They already hate us, man. It says, everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it. Right? And we know the counsel. We know what shall come upon the lands of America in the near future. Right? It says, then Amaziah, let's get Amos chapter 7, verse 10. Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos hath conspired against thee in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to bear all his words. See, the land, which is, a people of a land. So, America, even today, and I'm using this as an example, it says the land is not able to bear all his words. And that's exactly what's happening in America today. It's going to come a time where they won't be able to bear it no longer. There's going to come a time when they're going to basically oppose us openly. There's going to come a time where they're going to openly show their hatred When I say they, I'm talking about the world. They're gonna openly show their hatred towards the Israelites, man. Because they ain't gonna be able to bear all our words. You know, you're here saying in the world a bearer of bad news. And guess what? We ultimately hold up, to the world, if you will. This is bad news. To the other, this is a good news. To the elect, to the Israelite man and woman, this is good news. But to the world, it's a dreadful sound in their ears. It says let's get Job chapter 15 verse 21. A dreadful sound is in his ears. Yeah, these things, man. Esau, he hear about these prophecies. Right, which when you go into the word prophecy, it goes into say before. Right, so Esau, he hear of these prophecies and he's scared of it. He's terrified. Which when you go into these prophecies, it goes into the downfall of Esau Edom. It goes into the end of the world. It goes into the end of the end of Esau's world, if you will. And he's scared of it, man. He's terrified. When I say he, I'm talking about Esau Edom. It says, in prosperity, the destroyer shall come upon him. Let's get Matthew chapter 10, verse 22. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. See? But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Let us be faithful unto death, man. Because we're going to be hated of all men. We got to go through, persecution, adversity, tribulation. Let's get Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. And that's what you that's what you have been seeing. The men at Great Millstone, the men and women, receiving or men and women acknowledging the truth, which is ultimately after godliness. They're receiving wisdom, knowledge, etc. Right? It says, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them, which saw them. And read again. It says, and great fear fell upon them, which saw them. Yeah, on these nations, man. Great fear is falling upon these nations, man, because they see it, man. Which ultimately is leading, which ultimately their hatred is going to be directed towards the Israelites, man. Which when you go to the word saw, or which saw, goes into be a spectator, to look at, to behold. Right? But I'm going to close out on that. Lord willing, this video was edifying. Double honors to the elders of the house of David. Peace and blessings unto the elect. Salute and shalom to the fellow laborers in his truth. And all praises and honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai.